What if everything you've learned about sales is actually working against you? What if the harder you try to prove your value, the more skeptical your prospect becomes? What if the real key to closing more deals isn't about persuasion, but about trust? Welcome back to another episode of the Vital Wealth Strategies podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Lonergan, and today we're diving into a game-changing conversation about sales, one that will completely shift the way you think about selling. Joining me is Ari Galper, the #1 authority on trust-based selling and the author of 7 best-selling books. Ari has helped thousands of entrepreneurs ditch outdated sales tactics and replace them with a trust-driven approach that not only feels better, but also works better. In this episode, Ari shares a pivotal moment that changed his entire approach to sales, one that revealed why most entrepreneurs unknowingly sabotage their own deals. We'll uncover why traditional sales strategies are failing, how to build trust instantly, and the exact steps to move from chasing leads to closing high-value clients effortlessly. A quick heads up before we get started. At Vital Strategies, we help high-income entrepreneurs keep more of what they earn. If you're tired of handing over 6 figures to the IRS, head to vitalstrategies.com/tax. Let's change that. If you've ever struggled with sales or dreaded hearing, "I need to think about it," this episode is for you. Stay tuned because Ari is dropping powerful, actionable strategies that you can start using immediately to transform the way you sell. Ari Galper, thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm excited about this conversation. You are the world's #1 authority in trust-based selling and the author of 7 best-selling books. We'll get into those in a minute, but thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Really looking forward to this, Patrick.
So Ari, I think about the entrepreneur and the challenges they're facing. Sales are the key to generating revenue to, if we don't have revenue, we don't have a business. And so none of that happens until we go and sell something. So I think this conversation is so relevant for our audience. And when I think about the problems that we typically face when we're looking at sales is it just costs me money, right? If I don't have a good process, I am losing money, not being able to convert those prospects into paying customers. And then it just feels hard, right? Like I don't know how to go about creating a sales process. When I think about sales, it seems like it's a dirty word. It reminds me of a used car sales lot. I just, I kind of want to run away from that. And then finally, I just don't feel like it should be this hard. Like I should be able to connect with you as an individual. If I've got some value and you have a need, we should be able to get that across the finish line. So I'm looking forward to digging into those things today.
For sure.
So Ari, if it's okay, can you just give us a little bit about your background? I know we could go check out your books, but I'd like to just hear how you've positioned yourself as this trust-based selling expert.
Yeah, so there's a story that happened to me at an event that's pretty pivotal that I'll share the quick story now that I think will anchor today's conversation. Mm-hmm. So I used to be a sales manager in a software company years ago, and I managed about 18 reps underneath me. We launched the first online website tracking tools like Google Analytics. We track website behavior. We were bought out by Google eventually, but I left before that part, unfortunately. But I was managing that growth of that business. The big opportunities came across my lap from the website. I got the big deals, and the whales came to me, the minnows came to everybody else. So this one opportunity came across my desk. I took a phone call, inbound call from the website. Great conversation with this guy. He's part of a huge organization. He'd recognize the name. They have a huge amount of websites around the world. And he agreed to a conference call with myself and his team to walk through a demo of our product. And it was such a big opportunity, Patrick. If I closed this one deal, it would double the revenue in one transaction. That's how big it was. Big sale. So the day finally came, Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, in my conference room with my CEO, closer room behind me, big long conference table, the old school speakerphone. Remember the Star Trek ones with 3 legs on it? Hit the speaker button, dial tone comes up, dial the number. My guy says, "Hey, Ari, quick conversation." He says, "Ari, let us tell you who's with us on the line today." I said, "Great." Next thing I hear is, "My name is Mike, I'm CEO." I was like, "Oh, perfect." "My name is Chris, I'm head of global IT." Perfect. "My name is Julie, I'm head of global marketing." Amazing. Everybody on this call was a decision maker. It's going to happen. It's going to happen today because they're all here. So I introduced myself, had them all log in back then to kind of old school webinar model. And we logged in on their websites. We put our tool on there to show them in live what it looks like to see real-time stats, right? So we log in, I start showing them how the whole thing works. And I started hearing this noise on the phone call like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. I can't believe I can see this information. They started asking me all kinds of questions. How do we use it? How do we install it? There was so much chemistry on this phone call. It was like a love fest on the phone. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
They got the questions. You got the answers. It's like, it's perfect. I got the high five with my CEO in the corner of the room going, nice job. I mean, there was so much chemistry. I'm saying to myself, this is a dream sales call. An hour goes by. The call comes to an end. And my contact to me, Ari, we love this. This is amazing. Look, give us a call a couple of weeks, follow up with this, and we'll move this thing forward. I was like, oh, thank you, God. I was praying. I was so happy, you know? So I said my goodbyes. I took my hand, reached for the speakerphone, hit the off button. By complete accident, I hit the mute button instead of the off button. I just clicked the wrong button, and they thought I hung up the phone. A small click happened on their end. And I pulled my thumb back for a couple seconds. They thought I left the phone call. They started talking amongst themselves. So what would you imagine I would have heard in that call, given we just got to the phone with these people loving everything?
I would assume that they're talking about how great everything is and how they can't wait to get started. But I'm assuming you're going to add a twist to this.
Well, that's what I was expecting as well. But I'll tell you what they said verbatim, word for word. I'll never forget it. It's why we're all here today. Here's what they said. They said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information. And make sure we shop someplace else cheaper. Knife and heart twist. I was in a state of shock. I was like, what? After all that, I snapped out of it, hit the off button, looked the walls on myself. What did I do wrong? I was competent. I was professional. I wasn't pushy. I was nice. I did everything by the book I was taught throughout the years by the gurus and the books on my shelf, the sales managers I used to have. And here, this happened. And I said to myself, what went wrong? And I realized that they were afraid to tell me the truth because I was focused on the sale. They were holding back on what the truth of their situation. And I realized that moment that selling has become a dysfunctional relationship. And I've got to untangle that to allow trust to emerge to end that sales game that we all hate when we lose a lot of money. That's kind of the story behind the trigger of trust-based selling. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love this because I just think about sales processes in general. I think about, even our sales process. I think about our client sales processes. And generally there's this funnel and we're talking a lot about trust and it's like deliver value first. And I'm just curious to hear, what is the alternative to that? Because it seems like that's a decent way to go is like, hey, I'm gonna provide some value. They're gonna see how valuable we are. They're not gonna be able to live without us, and they're gonna start giving us money. So, So what is the plan to start working around just showing up and delivering value?
Here's the thing: value has become commoditized. They can't discern the immense value that you provide until after they're a client, not before they're a client. So you're attempting to persuade them and prove your value is what they don't want from you, which is selling them you to them. It's exactly the opposite of what you should be doing. So it's education being commoditized. So what you do is you replace all of that with trust instead. All right? It's a different concept because we've been trained to over-deliver on values. We think they want value from us. And the irony of the whole thing is they don't really care about how you solve their problem. All they care about is, are you the one to solve it or not? And they're judging you and hiring you not based upon your offer, but based upon your approach itself.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to convince, persuade, kind of the fake relationship stuff, rapport, how's it going? Nice fish on the wall kind of thing. They know it's a game and they'll be nice to you, but you're going to get a lot of this at the end of your calls. I like to think about it. Thank you so much.
This is great. So trust is a split-second decision, right? Like people really quickly figure out if we have trust, if they can trust me or not. How do we go about building that? How does that happen? Like that seems like the mystery that we need to unlock.
So correctly, they in a split second emotionally at their gut level, they're hiring you, not intellectually, but at their gut level. They're trying to feel their way through your conversation to see if they can trust you or not. So your job is to shift to more of a doctor-patient conversation, less selling conversation, where your job is to unpack their problem at a very deep level. peel the onion back, where you do what I call the cost of an action. You help them understand the loss or the impact of their problem. Then ask this question: is this a priority for you to address once and for all? If you can live inside their problem, then you build trust with them because you're not jumping to the solution. See, most people, what they do is when they qualify someone, their brain goes, oh, perfect, yes. Then they go right into solution mode. But the trust is built when you're down below what I call the iceberg, in the problem center of the world, not the solution part. And that's the whole mindset shift, where solution-centric to problem-centric.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is very interesting because I think about, let's just think about my personal situation, going back to the doctor analogy, right? I can put off things I'm excited about in the future. I can put off, looking good on the beach. Like, that's easy to put off. If my finger is cut open and bleeding and needs stitches, I'm not putting that off. I'm going to solve that problem first before I do anything else, right? So it's easy to delay a exciting future. It's really hard to delay a painful present.
That's a good point, because most people sell the future. Mm-hmm. They say, let me tell you what we can do for you. We can do that. We can do this. We can do that. We can scale your business. We can grow. We can and the guy can't think past tomorrow. All he can think about is current problems now. And we get so lost from that connection level because we aren't present with them. And that's what happens a lot from the expert sales mindset, where you know your stuff so well. When you hear their problem, your system goes, I can fix that. No problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So how do we go about unpacking their problem? How do we get to the point where they're happy to start telling me what the issues are in their business or whatever arena we're talking about?
Great question. So we have something we invented called the one-call sale model, which is now patent pending. And we have our unique process for this, and languaging around this to help build that trust and be that doctor at hello. So I'll give you a sample of it right now. Let's say you meet someone on Zoom for the first time, and there's a lead from your system or whatever. So most people start it with, well, what brought you in today? Tell me about you. I'll tell you about me. Like, this kind of like goes left and right, trying to find a center somewhere. So how we started is this. We say, obviously, nice to meet you, John. Nice to meet you as well. And here's the opening phrase you say. If it's okay with you, if you wouldn't mind, can you take a step back for a moment, walk a bit your background, your situation, up to your current business concerns, and we'll go from there. Would that be okay with you, Mike? You take your fingers like this over your mouth, sit back like a doctor, and listen quietly. Show them visually you're not talking today. It's not about you. It's about them. Then they'll describe the problem to you. Now, your job isn't to try and solve it. Your job is to crystallize the core issue. So when they're done speaking, you say, so what I'm hearing is your core issue is X, Y, Z. Is that right? He goes, yeah, exactly. Then you say this question next. You say, how long have you been concerned about this for? What have you done so far on your own to try and resolve this? Then you go into what I call the COI, the cost of an action. What's it costing you right now, either risk level or impact level or profits or whatever, not to solve it, which is reverse engineering the problem. So you go through a series of questions, Patrick. It takes you below the surface to a level where they're open up to you and they tell you the truth of their real problems.
Yeah, I love it. So I've got a question about digging out the problem. Do we work on a list of problems and then we sort of take a look at that list and ask follow-up questions to the things that they're putting on that list, and then we come back and we highlight what they think is the key issue? Or
no, you don't do what they think is right. You help them crystallize and simplify and determine what the most important issue above all is. It's too complicated to jump back and forth in multiple issues. It gets too complicated. Then I'm going to go think about it. You got to help them identify and ask them, what is the top priority, the top issue right now that's costing you the most money or the biggest impact to your team? What's the one issue if you fix would go away, you'd be very happy? So we have them focus and simplify the dialogue around one core problem. Then from there, we go down the iceberg with them, because that's the single decision they can make is on one problem alone. Too many, they can't decide on the spot. That's the problem.
I love that. And there's been research done on organizations, and when they have a primary focus, a priority, and priority means one, right? you can't have three priorities. That doesn't make sense. And so as an organization's number of problems they're trying to solve expands, the lower the number of things they actually complete. I think if they have 1 to 3, they get like 180% of those done. If they have like 5 to 7, they get none of them done because there's no focus. And so I love that you're like focusing on this key issue that's going to be the number one thing that will set them free in whatever's going on in their
Here's
lives.
the thing.
So,
We live in a complex world right now, a fragmented world. The more complexity you add to the conversation, the less they can make a decision to solve it. Your job is to simplify, not make things more complicated for them. They need simplification to make the decision to hire you on the spot. If it's too complicated, they're going to say this to you: I want to think about it.
if you're getting value from this conversation and want to go deeper into keeping more of what you earn, check out vitalstrategies.com/tax. Just like trust is the foundation of high-value sales, having the right tax and wealth strategy is the foundation of long-term financial success. We work with high-level entrepreneurs to optimize their tax and wealth strategies so they can build lasting wealth while keeping more of what they worked so hard for. Learn more at vitalstrategies.com/tax. Oftentimes you can coach me on this. So this is a master class. I appreciate this. This is something that people are going to have to watch on YouTube as well as listen to. But if somebody tells me they need to think about it, usually I sort of stop them and go, that's totally fine. But generally when people tell that to me, there's a problem that they have, and I'm okay with this isn't a good fit, but what I'm not okay with is a maybe. And so if it's not a fit, that's all right. Just let me know and we can either talk through that issue, or we can just end this conversation now, and we can just each go on our way. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but I like to sort of try to nip that in the bud instead of like letting it carry on, because I know that means it's dead, So I'm like, I'd rather bring it to discussion right now, or just call it dead and be
the whole
be done.
fit concept does not relate anymore to today's world. It's not about are we a fit. It's about, do you want to solve your problem or not?
Yeah.
It's problem centric, not are we going to get together and become friends? See, the old model was, oh, let's see if we're fit. You tell me about you, tell me about me. Let's kumbaya. If we're fit, wonderful. We'll work together. But that's so overdone. Everyone knows that's a sales game. Okay. Yeah. So the decision at the end is, do they want to solve their problem or not? Now, if they say to you, I want to think about it, that's indicative of you either overeducating, making things too complicated, or not showing them a roadmap, a visual way to how you solve their problem. We have created this concept called the sales roadmap, where you show them visually what your process is to solve their problem prior to the offer of your services. So it could be possible you presented your services and pricing too premature to that process, was triggered, I want to think about it.
Got it. Yeah, I love that. So thinking about the roadmap, and I love this concept, because I think if people have a problem and then they have a clear path forward to solve that problem, it's easy to take action, because then their options are, do I wander back out into the wilderness with my problem and no clear option to solve it, or do I just take action today and move forward? So can you tell me a little bit more about that roadmap and how, because here's where my brain goes, sometimes when I think about our process, we have a clear path forward with we'll call it a meeting schedule. Like here's how we're going to get to the outcome. And this is what it's going to look like each step along the way. But there's sometimes that people have a unique problem that I maybe don't know the answer right now. Again, we go through the same process regardless of the issue, but sometimes it's going to take us maybe 4 or 5 months to really be able to crystallize the solution for that particular issue. So I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments on that, but that's something we run into regularly.
Yeah. So the idea here is you don't claim you can solve their problem from that first meeting at all.
Mm.
You show them what your process is to get to the solution. So if you have like a discovery process that requires a few months first to unpack, uncover, look at statistics or whatever, that would fit well in the roadmap concept. When I say roadmap, I mean a left to right visual tool that shows them each phase of the process they have to go through to get the result that they want. See, most people have that in their brain, and they explain to people, say, here's what happens next. Bring me this, we meet together, me and my team, we onboard you, and then it goes in one ear, out the other ear. But when they see it visually, they believe you. When they hear it, they don't believe you. It's really strange. But when they see it, they believe it. And what that shows them is you have a process of success where you won't drop the ball because you're forced to follow a linear model. And people find relief and peace in seeing a linear visual process that shows them how to solve their problem. And then you can say to them this: what are your thoughts on the roadmap, John? Don't ever say, do you have any questions? That's the worst thing I ever ask somebody, ever. Just say, what are your thoughts on the roadmap? Guy goes, makes sense. And you say, where would you like to go from here? You create space every step of the way where they're walking into it. You're not trying to close it. And then he says to you, well, how do you work from here, Patrick? And you say, it's real simple from here. We schedule a time right now. Have you come back, start with phase 1 to do the discovery process. There's an initial fee of X to do that. And then I'll give you all of our time to map this out for you, give you clarity on where to go next. Then you say, what are your thoughts so far? So you kind of let them step into it versus you try and force them into a yes.
Yeah. I love this. I love this. So I think you unlocked another question I had is, it sounds like there's a fee for we'll call it the analysis. Because sometimes, again, let's do the analysis before, and then from there, we'll give you an action plan, and you can either take and run with it, or we'll execute on it for you, and can you walk us through maybe sort of the steps of how that process can
that's
unfold?
Called, that second model you just gave to me is called free consulting. We spend your time, you try and quote, deliver value, and you close your eyes and hope they pick you. To me, that seems kind of like the hopium model. You kind of hope it'll all work out at the end because you're so good at what you do, right? As opposed to, if you work and building trust with somebody first, and they see a seamless process with you in a roadmap, they will pay you to work with you at stage 1. A fee of some sort, it could be nominal. Just put their foot in the door and commit to you to say, hey, that fee of $5,000 includes stage 1 through 3. It includes my team meeting with you, the analysis, the report. All the work involved with that is included in that nominal fee. The word nominal is key. Nominal fee, one-time fee. Very simple. Keep it simple and easy for them to engage with you. Because once they engage with you and pay you, obviously the odds go way up that you got them for life or long term.
Yeah, I love this. So one of the things I think about trust is there's a book called Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. I believe that's how it's pronounced. It might be Cialdini if I were Italian. But I think of some of the things that he talks about from a behavioral point of view, like how to influence people, because I think you highlighted something, contrast, like the words we use really matter, right? When I call it a nominal fee, even if it's $10,000, $20,000, $5,000, that sort of puts a frame on it.
Oh, one more quick tip to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Don't ever
Please.
use the word again, thousands of dollars. Use the letter K. $5,000, $10,000, $12,000, $13,000. When you use the word dollars, they visualize on their bedside the dollar bills on their bed. When you just say K, it's a single number. Just FYI. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. No. I love these tips. These things are magical. And I remember the first time I was negotiating a real estate deal, and I put a label on a medium term of 5 to 7 years. That was the term I wanted. But sometimes people would think, oh, well, it wasn't a long term. If a short term was like 3 to 5 years, that was still suitable for me. And so I was like, wow, I was shocked at how when I put a term on something, and then would say things like typically. Typically means everybody does it, right? It created this social proof. And so some of these psychological factors start to play in, and it's shocking how it affects people and they have no idea how it's impacting them. So yeah, I've heard some of those in our conversation so far, and I think this is brilliant. So any of those you want to sprinkle in, please feel free to keep adding those. That's great.
But I think what you're trying to say
Yeah.
is, how do you sort of, streamline everything to on the quote? See, the way I view it is this: your first
Mm-hmm.
meeting with somebody, if you build trust with them, is the onboarding meeting. You're
Mm-hmm.
onboarding them into the first step of your process at a paid level to work with you. Everybody else will be doing what? They'll be overeducating, doing a free consulting, elongating the process in the hope at the end, once relationship is built, they'll sign up. So this model is relationship building is built post-sale, not pre-sale, which is so
Mm-hmm.
contrarian to selling because we've been taught that our job is to build a relationship with someone, right? But
Right.
relationships take time, a lot of time. Who's got time when you're being shopped? You're a commoditized industry right now, and they're chopping you.
Yeah.
There's no time. You've got one opportunity to build that trust. If you lose that trust or don't do it right the first time, you'll be chasing ghosts the rest of your career.
Yeah. Yeah, I love this. So just going back to, because it really is a mind shift for me to go from the, we'll call it the pharmacist to the doctor mode, where I'm really unpacking the problem. And you gave us some real key insights on, just listening. Because I feel like I need to take all my sales scripts and like chuck them out the door. I don't need those anymore. I need to just be a good listener, and then create a roadmap that shows the solution to the problem that the prospect has. Is there anything else we need to add into that discussion to just get clear on the sales process?
You've distilled beautifully the way you describe it and distill it down. But if I can encapsulate what you just said, and it
Mm-hmm.
might sound a bit disruptive, I would say sales skills are the last thing people need in this economy. They don't need to know how to sell anymore. Sales training is horrible out there. It's the worst thing for the current scenario we're in. Instead, you should develop trust training and trust coaching, teach your people how to build trust with these prospects, not selling skills. People know how to make a phone call, how to contact someone. It's the languaging, it's the art, it's the mindset shift, the doctor patient that has to be embedded in the organization to apply this across the whole company because
Mm-hmm.
we're now in a commoditized economy. It's what I call a trust recession, where every company is being shocked right now because the consumer can get information online. So can B2B. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
just behave the same way you've been doing it pre-COVID, trying to present to them your solution because they know the game and they'll be nice to you. But at the end, they'll say to you, sounds great. I've been so helpful. Thank you so much. You'll be like, what? We had a great
Mm-hmm.
meeting. We're a great fit. Why aren't you committing? Because your approach to them was not trust-based.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is brilliant. Now, I think one thing that I'm thinking about is like, Ari, you've been featured in CEO, Forbes, Inc., all of these publications. I think today you said you were speaking at UCLA. I look at that and I'm like, of course people trust Ari. He's got all these amazing things in his resume that he's done, and so I know he's an expert in the field. Is Does that play in? Does my LinkedIn profile, do people look at me online and go, okay, cool, I can see all the cool things this person's done. That helps transfer some trust because there's some social proof because this person's been out there in the world, or is that not
No,
necessary
you're talking
to
about a
build
more
trust?
advanced concept now, which is called
Mm-hmm.
becoming what I call a trusted authority. That is different than a trusted advisor. See, a trusted advisor, what you are after the sale. A trusted authority is what you have to become before the sale. Once you're clear on that in your mind, you realize it's a different game now. So you're right. If you can create what I call trust assets
Mm-hmm.
around your business or around you that help the prospect in advance determine that you're what I call a category of one, you're
Yeah.
the only one who can understand their problem, game over. before the even meeting occurs.
Yeah.
And that's what
I love
advanced,
it.
the concept we teach our clients who are more sophisticated. We help them create trust access to make sure their breadcrumbs that are dropped ahead of time. So by the time they get to the phone call, it is a real doctor-patient conversation.
Sure. Ari, I love this. All right. Is there anything else? I think you've done a great job crystallizing the shift that we need to make when it comes to sales. It is no longer sales; it's trust. It's building trust and um, being that trusted advisor and getting people to commit to the sale. Then we start to express our value after they've already committed. I think that's brilliant, and I think that's also a little scary for people too. But I think we can also look at the fact that oftentimes we're not getting the results we want doing the thing we're doing. So if we keep doing what we do and we keep getting what we get, we shouldn't be upset by that. So it's going to take some change somewhere along the way to
Look, most business
start seeing these new
owners
improved results.
are playing the numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're playing this, the funnel. The funnel is put a lot at the top, spend your time with lots of people, find qualified ones. At the bottom, a few marbles come out. That's the current mindset of most entrepreneurs. We operate on a different concept. It's called a cylinder. It's this narrow. You only put at the top your ideal clients, and all of them come out the bottom because they trust you. Right? If you get that concept in your mind, then you use the doctor-patient model in our process, then you have a whole different model. You're more of a low volume, high margin versus the opposite. Chasing leads, proposals going out every day, a lot of pipeline meetings, but very few get closed.
Right. Yeah. No, I love this because that's very much our business, right? Like we maybe close 2 or 3 clients a month. Any more than that actually is disruptive to our business. And so it's like we've got a regular stream of referrals coming in and people reaching out from some of our marketing efforts. I love the idea of being able to close more business, and I think this conversation is going to be one that I go take and apply to our business immediately.
Yeah, this is designed for low volume, high margin businesses.
Mm-hmm.
If you're selling t-shirts or e-commerce, maybe not. It's all about volume. But if you're in a service model where it's trust oriented and one client can be worth to you $30K a year ongoing, then if you mess that first meeting up, you're losing that money for your own company. It makes no sense.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. This is brilliant. So Ari, the place that people can go learn more about this is thetrustbook.com. It's a fantastic resource. I've spent a lot of time digging through your website, and you've got a number of just amazing free resources. I almost don't understand how you give so much free value away. The book is available for free. There's a webinar, I believe. There's a free consult. It's shocking how much information you're giving away there. But
we have different doors that we open up, and you'll see the process that if you're smart enough to listen to this and resonate with this, go to thetrustbook.com, order my book, schedule a consultation, and watch the process yourself. And you'll see how it's different. Otherwise, you're on the outside looking in the window shop going, oh, it's different, but not that different.
Yeah. I love this. So I think anybody that wants a front row seat to Ari's process needs to go to thetrustbook.com. We'll have links to that in the show notes. Just request the book. That'll show you exactly how Ari and their team go through this process. And so I think that's great. Ari, anything else from a call to action that people should check out, or is that the number one place to go?
That's the best place to start, is to get my book and schedule a chat with us. But I really believe, and I'm speaking this week to, as I mentioned to you, a group of CEOs, their retreat for UCLA, the business school. And the biggest topic is about how to build trust in our society, not just politically, but economically with customers and clients across the whole organization, from pre-sale to value delivery, all the way through to follow-up. And it's a real problem out there right now because most business owners have been brought up in the know, like, and trust model from years ago. And it only fits in a commoditized economy where you're being shopped. So that gap right there is causing millions of dollars being lost every year in sales for a lot of companies. So I just hope people realize how serious this is.
Yeah. No, this is fantastic. And, our interactions are changing. We're changing from this, social interactions where we used to actually talk to people one-on-one to this world of digital connections, and it's different. We have to be able to build trust quickly. I think about what that means to entrepreneurs. If they're doing this, they will have more sales, they'll have more revenue, more profit. Business is hard the way it is, so why not take probably the number one thing, the most important thing. This is how we started the conversation, but you don't have a business if you're not driving sales. So if we can make our sales more efficient, more effective, it's absolutely a great place to start. And then on the flip side of that, if people don't take action on their sales process, it's just hard. You just continue to struggle. So many business owners go out of business, and it's just our mission to help the entrepreneur thrive. They're the backbone of the U.S. economy. And so we want to see that happen. And so Ari, we just appreciate all of the wisdom and guidance that you shared with us here today. And it's going to be valuable for our listeners.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
That's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you found real value in this conversation with Ari Galper, and that it shifts the way you think about sales and trust in your business. If you got something out of this episode, share it with someone who could use this information. A fellow entrepreneur, a business partner, or friend who wants to close more deals without the stress. And remember, you're a vital entrepreneur. You're vital because you're the backbone of our economy, creating opportunities, driving growth, and making an impact. You're vital to your family, creating abundance in every aspect of life. And you're vital to me because you're committed to growing your wealth, leading with purpose, and building something truly great. Thank you for being a part of this incredible community of vital entrepreneurs. I appreciate you, and I look forward to having you back next time on the Vital Wealth Strategies podcast, where we help entrepreneurs minimize their taxes, master wealth, and optimize their lives. Before you go, you've worked too hard to let the IRS be your biggest expense. Let's change that together. Head to vitalstrategies.com/tax to see how much you could be saving. Until next time, take care, keep building, and keep making an impact.